All right, guys. We are back. We are back once again. Let me get a short water break before we start. Feeling all so good. How is everyone doing? How are we all feeling after the week? I think it has been very tough, but we're still keeping at it. Every day is a new day for opportunity. Every day it is a chance for us to make change and to win, to become better humans. And today we are going to be talking about learn like a child, free your mind, and absorb the world. And this is a very interesting topic to me because I had a whole cycle of this. I mean, it went full circle for me because I used to be this guy who would absorb a lot because I was curious. How do I make better videos? How do I cook? How do I lose weight? How do I do this? How do I get around this? It used to be so free. And then one part of my life suddenly just shut down. And it felt very hard for me to carry on because I felt that I needed the perfect environment, the perfect teacher, the mentor, the perfect notes, one source of notes that will finally change the trajectory of my learning. And none of that came. It seems like the older we get, the more awareness comes into our mind, and we start to feel that there is a huge cost when we were to take on something new. Whether it's learning a language, whether it's trying to learn a new skill, you know that there's going to be either a mental cost, a monetary cost, a physical cost to trying like in the gym. And you start to realize to yourself that, hey, this is going to be a hard time for me to clear this obstacle. So I would just push it off and we might not even try. And this is where nothing happens. We don't change from the status quo of not trying at all, not moving from our original position of being curious to not trying at all. So you just leave it in the corner and yeah, you don't change at all. The other thing is about motivation of learning new things. The reason why we're talking about this particular subject today is how I meet a lot of people and with the same type of mentality which I had just now of you need the right environment, people to be with, then I'm allowed to learn. It feels that you need firstly approval, and without this environment and people, a lot of people lose a lot of motivation to actually go on with the thing because it feels that no one is actually being pushed to do the thing. There's this question that I always like to ask people, and that is, where would you go if no one was chasing you? And this is quite metaphorical in the sense where it's not a literal thing where would you run? And then a lot of people like to answer me very literally, and then they'll say, why would I run? Because no one's chasing me. And some people will say, well, I'll go behind a tree. And other people will say, no, I will just sit down here and just enjoy the breeze. So to each their own, but in a very philosophical, such a big word for me, not ready for that. In a very metaphorical way, where would you run if no one was chasing you? Just means if you wanted to do something and you could do anything in the world, not wanted to do something. Yeah. Anyway, if you could do anything in the world, what would you do? And where would you go to? Where will you do the thing and where will you go to? What will you do? And a lot of people say, I'm not really sure because I don't really have a drive to this. I kind of have interest in this, but I am not this kind of person to really push myself to do this kind of thing. Then you ask why? Say, well, there's nothing really motivating me to do the thing. I'm not going to get paid doing the thing. I'm not going to get a big, huge, upside of my life if I do the thing. Well, maybe, okay, let's talk about taking on a new language. Well, if I need to learn a new language, means I need to go to a school to learn a language, means I need to pay someone. And if I pay someone, means I need to go set aside some savings. And if I set aside some savings, means I have less money to go and entertain myself. And this whole thought process comes in, and we never get to learning the language. Again, the theme for this year is try different, not harder. We have YouTube. We have online courses, which are way cheaper than going to a formal language school. We have those online chat places. I'm not talking about dating apps one, but I'm talking about those where you can link up with people from other countries and they can tutor you in their own language, which is even affordable compared to going to a language school. Yes, it is one way to, go to a language school, have that physical contact with people, like in-person contact with people. 100% is good. That is if you can afford it. That's if you can afford time and so on and so forth. But you see, even now I'm thinking of the weighing all the costs of what it will do. But this is where people stay stuck with weighing so much of the costs that months go by, years go by, nothing comes out of it. And I'm thinking back to some of my film friends who they want to direct films and they are telling me that, hey, I can't really make this particular VFX shot. And I'm like, why? It's like, oh, because I can't do with VFX. Then I ask, can you learn? And it's like, well, it will take me a while to learn, probably a few years, then I can finally get down to it. Then I'm like, oh, how about you go and hire someone? Well, I'm not really sure if people can really do this kind of thing. It's like, how many people have you talked to? Well, just one, because someone linked me up. You can go and network, bro. You can go and put yourself online and ask someone, hey, can someone help me do this? Collaborate with this person. Maybe someone wants to try who has experience in VFX. So many options. But this person still ties to this one particular thing of like, well, if I cannot find this particular person with this one particular person, which I'm locked into, which is kind of not, he's locked into, I will not move forward until, the stars align, the universe finally, goes into a black hole, then everything is all fine. Then we can kind of move on with life. No, it will not happen, guys. It will not happen. Understand that the main point of what we're talking about today is when we grow up, we had a lot of experiences in our life that we are now limiting ourselves to life itself. We feel that we are in this very matured state that we need to act like adults and get through life in a very systematic, strict way. And we forget how to live because responsibilities in life start to overwhelm us that we feel we need to be cautious with life. We don't want to hurt people's feelings. We don't want to lose our money. We don't want to lose our sanity. And again, we end up doing completely nothing. But this is where you look at children and then you start to clip their wings. If we had children, or you see parents and how they treat their children, instead of giving them options to try to think for themselves, they start clipping their wings and say like, no, you can't do this, you can't do that kind of thing. But in the same manner, they are curious, they want to learn, they do not have awareness and sense of life that they will just try anything. They will get hurt, but they will understand that, hey, this is something that I can do, this is something that I can't do. But the main point is they are not afraid to try. And we should think back like those children, like a child, to realize that when we are going about life, sure, there is a cost to everything. But wouldn't it be better to just try everything that we can be creative with? My example of trying to learn a new language, trying to find resources for your film. There are so many options out there. We shouldn't be limiting ourselves to what the world tells us we must do and we can do in this particular limits that we put through ourselves. It feels like a lot of times in life, I learned, not like I learned this word, but the word free will has been on my head since last year when someone said, "Oh, dude, you finally discovered free will." And I was like, haha, that's a nice word. But anyway, yeah, in the same manner, like, haha, we have finally realized we have free will. We're not breaking the law, guys. We're just trying different. We're trying multiple ways to do the same thing in a different way. And that is something that we should not be afraid to do. Because the more we limit ourselves to this one particular canon, we don't get the opportunity to have a whole experience of life. And that is something that we're all missing out as we grow older. And for myself, I felt when I was learning in the past, I was very open to everything. Then slowly I started cutting out things that, no, I can't go down this path because I'm scared people say this. I can't go down this path because it will cost too much. I'm scared to go down this path. And that kind of thing, and so on and so forth. Weighing options is fine, but not picking a direction and just trying everything to go to its maximum limit will just stun you from going anywhere. And to me, after saying no to everything, later on in life, when I started to realize that, hey, actually, I'm still at the same place, nothing has changed, then I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I'll just pick one first. And then from there, if it fails, never mind, move on. If that fails, never mind, move on. If that fails, never mind, move on. We can try again, keep moving forward. Like I said again, the theme for this year is try different, not harder. Don't try to be kicking down that door when you know you can't kick it down with your bare feet. Use boots. Use, I don't know, ballast. Use TNT. Anything to get the door down. There are many, many options out there. It's been something that I've been always talking about, reminding everyone, because we are in the season of growth. We are in the season of making ourselves better, and we should not be tied into where we were once before. We can change our lives whenever we want to, and that is something that I really want to put out into the world, to tell everyone that we all have the power of free will. We might have school and work and all these kind of things, like, sure, but at any point in life, we can just choose to do something else with our life. We don't have to go back down to the bar to drink and get ourselves drunk like I used to. Or we try to sulk in our room and say that life is not good for us because nothing is going our way. Control what you have and you will make a better life for yourself. I can guarantee that if you put the work in. And if you feel curious like a child to say like, all right, I surrender myself to the universe. I surrender myself to life and say, guys, I don't know anything in life. I'm not this stuck-up kid. I'm not this guy who knows everything. Teach me, and I will learn. If you are willing and you're open, that's how you can learn, by not being so stuck up with your ego to hold you back, and to be like a child to say, everything's going to be fine. We'll just work it. We'll just figure it out. That was the reminder for today. Hopefully someone got something out of that. And let me know what you guys are working on. I'm continuing on with this podcast as usual. We're all doing good. So life is good. I'm very happy. As always, I'm very, very happy. So yeah, well, that's all I have to say for today's podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys on the next one. Goodbye.